It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks.
My name is Jared Dyke. I wanted to say it's stupid and let's move on, but then you kept going.
I'm Ben Glauser. I don't like any way anybody handled that.
Collusion. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
Season 6. How the hell did we get here? How did we get here?
You know, everyone said they couldn't. Everyone was saying that we couldn't do it, and
They were almost right.
so for spite.
For spite. Yeah,
let's go.
something
We
like
made
that,
it this
right?
long for spite.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so those that can hear, bear with us with the new sound. We're trying out new software to get our recordings in because bye Zoom.
Zoom's evil.
Yeah, and so we're just trying out. We're giving this one a whirl. We'll see how it goes for a couple weeks, and if we decide to this one we'll try another one. But just bear with us with the growing pains. We appreciate you all for patience. We appreciate you all for coming back and listening to us for another season.
Absolutely.
Let's crack them
Oh,
open.
hell yeah. I am prepared for that too.
As always, find us on your favorite podcast app. Share us, download, rate, review. Feedback always welcome as usual. Ooh, still got one. This is one of those beers that we bought up at Lake Placid.
I've got one of our golf beers.
You still have those? Jesus.
I don't drink beer except for the pod.
Yeah. Okay.
I stick to hard alcohol and other substances.
Yeah. You would. As usual, make sure that you are checking out our good friend, the Fantasy Rugby Geek, George. Buy him a coffee and or beer, however you see fit, especially with the very intense period that we're about to come up here with. There's at least 2 formats of Rugby World Cup Fantasy. He'll be just as busy as us, if not busier. So make sure that you support him and give him a look. As always, there is no discrimination here on this podcast, nor should there be in sports or in life. We're going to hit the elephant in the room in terms of what everyone's been talking about this whole summer, which is Spain's women's World Cup victory being very tainted by the head of the federation doing things you just shouldn't do. And and his refusal to step down as well, which is kind of bullshit. But diving into a few more other topics. So this is going to be probably a good 10-minute conversation. So just hit that fast forward button if you want to skip over it, but catch us on the other side. But anyway, you go, Ben. I'm done babbling for a second.
Yeah. So I saw it happen live, and even then I was kind of like, I knew that there was issues. I didn't have the full picture at the time. But yeah, I was like, that I hope that they're okay with it. Like, because he was being super friendly with all of them, a little aggressive. And then after that kiss, I was like, oh, they must really like this guy, or they really hate him. Like, it was one of the two. And I was like, either he's an asshole, or they're like, he's one of the good guys. And found out very quickly afterwards that no, it wasn't. And it brings me to a question that's developed in my mind the last couple of weeks and months anyway. So I have familiarity with coaching women's rugby at a fairly high level. I mean, it's American, so how high can you get? But I've coached, been coached a couple of the teams who play at some of the highest levels of U.S. rugby, and I really I would love to coach Beantown again. That has always been that would be an awesome role to be a head coach there. I was an assistant for a little bit, but now I'm wondering if it's even if men should even coach women's sports at this point, and ultimately because there's too many the women that I coach. My wife was playing with them for the most part, so they knew what I was about and that I wasn't creeping on them or anything like that. But there's still always going to be that question in the back of their mind, that lack of trust, that lack of, what's this guy's real motivation here? Why isn't he coach? Why is he not coaching guys? Why is he coaching us? And there are women that don't like men, just like there are men that don't like women. I've definitely coached women that do not like men at all. and I've gotten
Yep.
along with them, but that relationship's only going to be so friendly off the pitch anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, would my presence be a distraction or a complication, or like, so I work in a very heavily regulated industry. It's healthcare, so yeah, and there's a big push about any potential, like any appearance of conflict of interest is in itself a conflict of interest. And so it's like, just by me as a guy coaching women, does that create not a conflict of interest, but something similar, like a conflict of trust? And so now I'm just at the stage where it's like, I want to help, I want to be a supporter of women's sports, but I don't think I should be a coach. And I think that should be, especially well, at least with club sports and higher, school grade, I can get it. I would like to move us away from that, just because, again, I mean, and it's not universal. I'm not trying to say it universally. It's just a question that's been rattling around old Duder's head.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question, number one. And unfortunately, it lies in that it depends area too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always going to be the fact. With leaning towards, yes, I think it is more beneficial that women, people that identify as women, coach women's sanctioned sports and girls sanctioned sports.
Mm-hmm. I
do think one thing you can, and to just like wipe the board with it completely is just silly. I think I think we can all agree with that. That's, nobody would want to do that anyway.
The answer was not, I was looking for, is not yes, obviously.
Yeah. No, I know that. But I do appreciate the question. I think the number one thing that needs to happen, and I don't think it happens enough, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm like, without having any research done, but I bet you I'm right anyway. I don't think enough of the players are involved in the hiring. And in order to get their backing and their trust, that's number one. Is this, and they should maybe even participate a little bit in some sort of background search or just like information digging or whatever, because that's going to help them trust the person the most. Because that's
it. That's right there. It's about trust,
right? And it's
like we were saying as we were talking about it amongst ourselves, like Dave Ward impregnated one of his players. Of course they're married. So
of course they're married, so no big deal, right?
It's still like,
and
that was hilarious that they had to pretend that they didn't know, and Dave had to be yelling at the physio, when is she getting back on the pitch?
Like,
knowing that it was for
about months. That. I'm well aware of why she's not on the pitch. I'm just not going to tell anybody else or hint at it.
So it's there, but the trust has to be there.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's
it's
so easy to break, though. That's the problem. The trust is so easy to just,
it's the few that spoil it for the many, and that's the really shitty part. And that's not unusual for anything whatsoever. It sucks. And
and that's what makes me mad, is that this fucking bastard, this group of bastards in Spain and the ones in Ireland, for the women's rugby.
Yep.
And others. It's not just those two. Those are the two that are immediately coming to mind. It's just we need to do better, and we need to establish that, because the players will play better with that trust, and that's amazing. So bring it back to the point of the main focus of this, that the Spanish women's national team, fucking great for them for overcoming all that and just saying, we're going to ball out ourselves for us.
Played good stuff too on top of it, which was great.
Right. That was excellent to see. So I'm happy about that. And we just got to have, we need less dickheads in sports anyway, but we certainly need fewer men dickheads being involved in women's sports and making their experience anything less than it should be.
Sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
And, I feel for anybody that's had to deal with an asshole like this guy, and then you start going into, I will say this. So I participate in coaching of the girls at the high school I coach at, and I have given every player, and that's not just girls, it's boys too, any green light. If they feel like I'm not addressing something properly because I haven't listened or whatever, go right over my head, you know. And if it happens, I'll know that I fucked up. I know that I fucked up and I didn't listen to them. Now, obviously, my job is to do my damnedest to make sure I listen to them regardless, and I don't want that to happen. But I want them to feel like they can do as they need to protect themselves. You know, that's the number one thing I want to portray. You know, it sounds stupid and it sounds kind of almost virtue signaling, but you know, I just want them to understand that you should feel the most comfortable here, not me. You know, and that's hopefully something that more teams can get to, and then we won't have to have this concern. But while we have this concern that's prominent, then yeah, you have to ask the question. You know, what the fuck's this guy doing here every time, and rightfully so.
Right.
I don't disagree. I think it needs to be asked every time. Yeah. Okay. So, welcome back to those of you that skipped the segment. So, don't forget that we are on Patreon. There's a little freebie preview up there with some prices from the official Rugby World Cup game, and there's also the list of buys and what the round matchups are and stuff like that. We'll dig more into that when we get into the fantasy corner later on. But just make sure that's there. It sounds like we're gonna have some fantasy stuff to talk about this year, which is we were so like in the world. We were like, I have no idea what we're gonna do next year. And the news the last couple of weeks, not even like the last week or so, has been ultimately positive. Not perfect, but positive just the same. So we'll take it. Speaking of, make sure that you jump into the official podcast Rugby World Cup leagues. We have one on Super Brew. We have one on the official app. I've tweeted them out at least once, and they've been retweeted, and I'll probably do it again before kickoff on Friday. So,
and I will retweet them too. So if you see them, they come from, you know, from both, mostly from Jared, but from both of us.
Yeah. So yeah, grab a spot in there. Of course, we've been away for a little bit. Been away for like a month and a half, almost 2 months.
Like
working on 2 months.
6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah, about a month and a half. You know, nothing new on this end, right?
You know, I now am a head coach, so yeah. Oh wait, no, that's not what you're talking about.
No.
Okay, so I'll go with, I guess, along with this. My news really is you know, first in a way. But I managed to knock up the old wife, the old ball and chain. You know, she's carrying my seed. Yeah,
she let you. That's the more amazing thing.
Well, she married me. That was the amazing thing.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Now we're finally getting, and yeah, couldn't be happier. We've done a lot of work to get the house and to completely nest, and so there we're hatching. So one more rugby personality coming into the world. We couldn't be more excited to have to be brewing up the next Eagles captain.
Right. Well, the podcast is gonna double in size because yeah, same thing over here. So here's how this conversation went down, more or less. And there's a lot of other story besides this, but I won't get into that. But I was like, well, it looks like we're gonna have a kid. I said this to Ben, and he's just like, oh really? I was like, yeah. He says, when's your due date? I said March 6th. And he said, oh boy. Ours is the 28th of February. I was like, oh no. These poor children. I'm so sorry, kids. I'm very, very sorry.
You get to have one birthday party. It's for both of you, and it's at a rugby game.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
No, well, I mean, we'll sort something out, but it's still,
I'm sure we'll sort something out. We won't put them through that unless they absolutely want to. But yeah, I mean, if I told you we didn't plan this, would you believe me?
This
That's the
Jared, this
thing.
does nothing to lessen any questions about us. And if anything, it only
I
raises
know.
more.
It's probably true. Oh God, it's not bad enough that
Because
our significant others call each other the other husband or whatever it is. Somebody's got to peddle that.
we do so
Oh,
much
shit.
together, and now we're doing this together too, which is actually in a way it's really touching and sweet. But at the same time,
I think it's fun, but we
yeah,
all know. Everybody's
right.
like, yeah, you
But it's
guys are
also good
idiots.
but it's also good. It's like we don't have one of us experiencing this and the other one's not. At this, we're
Yeah.
doing this at the same time, so we're both gonna be understanding of each other's
Yeah. Growing
crunches,
pains
I
here.
guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. So yeah,
That's what I'm looking
podcast
forward to.
doubling in
It's like, okay,
size.
yep,
Spring.
got someone to lean back on to be like, all right, what are we doing here? Like, what are you guys
This
seeing?
spring,
All
this
right, good. I'm
winter.
seeing the same thing. Okay, we're all good.
So if there's a point where like say March, where Ben and I disappear for a couple weeks, don't be shocked.
You'll know why.
You'll understand why. We'll always put out stuff on the website formerly known as Twitter. But sometimes the podcast might get skipped. Things that happen when you have kids.
Yeah.
All
We'll find
right.
out.
We'll find out indeed. Okay. So now that we've had that little bit of fun released, we got a tournament to talk about.
What tournament's that exactly?
That would be the one starting on Friday.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. So I think the best way to attack this is just go pool by pool.
All right.
And just kind of look at and just go down the list.
Yeah. Works for me.
So yeah, looking at this. This is probably maybe the least competitive. Yeah, the least competitive pool that's in this World Cup is Pool A, honestly, because I would love to say that Italy can challenge these two teams, but they're not going to, and that sucks. They will crush Uruguay. They will crush Namibia, no question about it, because they have raised their game.
They really
but
have.
They're just not going to be able to touch these two teams.
They could see them maybe giving New Zealand a game, depending on what happens with the Kiwis. They've been touchable. We've seen that.
Yes,
but at the same time, let's be real. Like, it's hard. Italy, I gotta say, like Italy and Scotland and Tonga really got the shit end of the stick on this one.
Yeah,
and we'll get to those too. But yeah.
Well, the good news for the Kiwis is they do have Namibia between this first game against France and their game against Italy, so they won't be too banged up going into it. But yeah, I don't see another two teams coming out of this pool, unfortunately. Of course, Ben and I are going to quietly root for Namibia because they've got two of our boys on it, and Leroux Milan and Bian Conradi. And so I was looking at the Uruguayan team the other day. I think in terms of professionalized players that they compared to 2019, they do have more. Still quite a few of them playing for the team that's in whatever that America's Super Rugby or whatever it is. But some playing in the MLR, some playing in France, either D1 or D2, and some from the sevens team. And the rest are playing from Peñarol, which is, I'm guessing, I think that's the America Super Rugby team. But yeah, like I know Gaddis, I know Mieres. Those are two very good players. Arata from Cast is actually quite a good player. He's probably the best player on this team. So gotta give him a little bit of credit and a nod. It's unfortunately going to be. I don't know if they're going to have the same ability to shock anyone like they did Fiji. Fiji were definitely sleeping on them when they played them in Japan 4 years ago. And I think, Namibia and them is going to probably be a close game. I think Italy's going to be very alive to the fact that Uruguay can nab them if they're not paying attention and bringing their A game. So unfortunately, they kind of already pulled their shocker a couple of years, 4 years ago, and that's probably all they'll get out of it. And like I said, maybe they'll beat Namibia, maybe not. I don't know. But it's now a matter of who wins the pool.
Mm-hmm. And I think we find out on Friday.
We do. I have a hard time getting beyond what we saw last of the All Blacks and the fact that this is the opener for the host nation, that they're playing a team that has the highest ambitions of winning this thing. And
I just question how good New Zealand are at this point. I don't know. I think we're good. I think, and they're so, you never know, because you're right. We've seen of them the last, couple of times out, really, has been poor, and it's been consistent that way.
Yep.
Every so often they'll show up and then play pretty well, but it's trending negatively.
Right.
But then they're just going to show up and ball out, and it doesn't matter. Like none of that matter. Like there's certain teams here, and we'll get to them, where we know how they have been playing, and it's just not going to change. New Zealand can flip it. It's especially if they win if they win this game Friday, like that could be them. Potentially, that could be the way they get to the finals. That could springboard them there.
There is a path there for them to get to the final anyway, but we'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, but it gets a lot harder after this match if they come away with a loss. So, with that said, I don't want to face the Kiwis with their back up against the wall, but then it's against the hosts, and
it should make for an interesting match come Friday, no doubt. If we can, let's turn our attention to the host, and don't want to dive too deep into the squad, but there is kind of an issue with them calling up a convicted racist in Shallow, and the only reason, never mind the fact that he is what he is and he's done what he's done. I don't think he's that good, personally. I'm pretty sure freaking God, Miafu is eligible now. French, the big lock. Why aren't you bringing him in? That dude is a monster. Makes no sense to me. This guy is just he's a jag. He's a jag, and we're talking about replacing Belenstedt with him. It's not even close either. So I just I don't get it.
It doesn't make sense at all to me. And it's just it's a bad look, and he's 31.
What's the point?
You got to have someone younger, and I don't like it.
I don't either.
And not racist, that kind of,
Well, and that's the other thing. You are hosting a World Cup. This is your time. This is definitely France's time. You want the entire nation behind you. You don't need people calling you out for making this move. And because you don't need that's all that little sour taste that the populace needs to start to be like, no, we're not going to do this. You have everybody behind you thinking this is going to happen. You still have one of, if not the world's best player in Antoine Dupont. And as long as you have him, you are going to have absolutely one of the best shots. And I don't know why you would even taint the momentum that you built for this World Cup with a selection like that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's exactly kind of that questioning point I was talking about before, where why would you make people? Why would you give people the reason to question? You're already under scrutiny just based on the way it is, and don't make it worse for you.
I agree.
Yourselves.
Yeah, I like. Trying to think is. Yeah, why another guy that I think
on top of the fact that like you said, he's not even a good player. So what are you doing here? But how much is he going to play in the end?
He'll probably get the look against Namibia and probably Uruguay as well. One guy I was thinking of was Laval from La Rochelle, he's 24. He's a really good player. He's actually probably one of the better players in that pack. And that would have been someone I would have definitely tapped to say, all right, that's a good replacement right there. But
Right.
I'm
Especially,
not in charge of that
looking,
stuff.
be forward looking. Look to the neck. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Agreed.
like there's every reason that they shouldn't bring this guy, and they're bringing him anyway.
Yeah,
Like, he's not good. He's older, and you got younger talent that you could probably bring along and get them valuable experience.
Mhm.
And he's a racist. Okay,
Yep.
well, let's yeah.
Yeah. Let's go over to Pool B. Without a doubt, the most competitive pool and the most interesting, only because C and D are competitive, but also that's because what would traditionally be the top two teams are in a really bad spot, to say the least.
A little bit of a bad spot, yeah.
Right. So this, to me, like South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, all three of them could beat up on each other potentially. Tonga is going to definitely make some noise, and I wouldn't be shocked if they beat any of those teams. Yeah, Romania, you're just going to have to grab ankles and hope that they don't abuse you too much. It's just too bad.
Yeah, that's going to be. Let's make some career decisions, boys. You're not winning this World Cup.
Right.
Don't do anything stupid.
No. Yeah, only 4 professional players, I believe, playing for Romania outside of Romania. I think those other 4 are playing in some level of France. So, yeah, yikes. Good luck. I liked everything about what South Africa was doing, including last week, but without Pollard, I don't even think they're going to win this group. Maybe they do, but
they still could, because their way they play, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah,
I like the way what I've seen of Libak. I think he's been quite good.
Right. Well, whatever's happening here, it's like we're getting 2 Mane Libaks. We're getting the Mane Libak in the Springbok shirt, and we're getting the Mane Libak in his club shirt. And in his club shirt, he's spectacular. And right now, he's been okay in a Springbok shirt. I think that's probably a mostly fair statement to say. But with everything else they have, like it's hard to sit there and just be like, yeah, there's no way, but there's a way. It's just they're going to have to do a lot to cover up for their kicks at goal being the number one thing. Like, and he actually was very good in the URC with it, and for some odd reason, it's just kind of gone away. And now they're searching for who's going to kick a goal, and they keep giving it to him, which is fine. Hopefully, he comes around, and if he does, then yes, they absolutely have a shot at winning this thing. But while he's kind of figuring himself out, it's kind of going to be some growing pains, and somebody might nick him. Like Scotland might get him, Tonga less so, but still a possibility. Tonga's been playing really good in the warm up stuff, so don't dismiss them either.
No, not even a little bit.
No. And like it's hard to sit there and look at Scotland and Finn Russell, who's probably the best 10 at this World Cup, and go, shit, they're not even going to make the knockouts. And that's so painful to think about. Like, but they're just they're in the wrong group. If they were in C and D, I'd totally put them in there to get out of the group. But
absolutely. It's just, this is a crazy group where really, I mean, as you've been saying it, like 1 through 4 could make the knockouts easily. And that's like that's a good thing. It's unlike C and D where 1 through 3 could make it, but it's all like really good day. Or in some cases 4 outside shot, but damn. Like, do we really want any of how many of them do we actually want moving on?
Right.
This one, it's like I want all of 4 of these to move on. Do we place them over into one of the
one of the other
2
pools.
of them over into C and
right.
D, and
right.
that way we can have multiple teams to pull for. But
yeah. I mean, Ireland obviously the favorites to win this pool, and I'm not gonna. I have no reason to say otherwise, especially Sexton back, and the best part of him coming back this. For now, is he's going to get an easy game to start. They're playing Romania to start. So
is he back at the start, or is he? I thought he was missing some of the pool play.
I think he's back.
I could be wrong.
I totally could be botching that as well.
Okay.
I thought that was the whole thing. Like he's going to be done for the warm-ups, but he's going to be eligible for the pool play. Could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then I will eat my hat. That's fine.
Yeah. It's been a
but
while since that all went down, so
right,
there's
it
been a little
has.
bit more to
There's
discuss.
been a lot of other things that have happened. So with that, we have it's this conundrum of what one of these three and who can Scotland finally get over the hump? And they've gotten into the knockouts before, but it was all like I remember in 2015 it was they were in the right group. They had the US, they had Samoa, I believe they had Japan, and Japan had shocked South Africa, but didn't do enough to get out of the group.
Yeah.
So they weren't quite there. And then 4 years ago, we were all cheering for the Brave Blossoms at that point, so they were kind of boned. And this point, it's like I do want them to get out of this. I love a lot of what they have. I really do. Like Finn, Ben White, that center pairing is just mouth watering.
Yep.
Now they've moved Kinghorn to fullback.
I love that. Yeah.
Graham and Duhan. Graham can play rugby in a phone booth. I swear to God.
Right.
And I actually like Ollie Smith a little bit too. So with all that, it's like I want this team to get out, but I don't know which one of these other two teams I want them to get out over either.
Right.
So I do want Scott. I won't be sad if Scotland gets out. Let's put it that way.
Right.
I'd be happy to be wrong. And then obviously, Ireland and Van der Fleer and a lot of what they have. Although I did see something, I don't think they're gonna be missing a couple guys to start. But like I said, they have Romania to start, so they can.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
They can afford to have a couple guys take a back seat and
and even healthily. Like Tonga. As much as we're kind of glossing over Tonga, they're not at the level that Scotland or South Africa are at. So even if you're have a couple of banged up, bruised players that are going because you're short on some other players, that they should be okay. But until they run into Fekitoa's channel.
Yeah, he's not the ball carrier anymore, but man, that dude can still hit. All right,
they got other guys to carry the ball.
Damn, they got plenty of guys.
Squad.
Piatau's in there.
Moala.
Yep.
Moala Fekitoa. Oh,
how long is Moala suspended for?
Oh, that's right. 5 games, so he's out. Yeah.
Oh, he's out of this. Damn.
Probably out of this.
Really sucks.
Yeah.
Damn it. I was looking forward to him. Fuck a duck. All right, that really sucks. But then Tonga and with the likes of also Fiji and Samoa, which we'll get to in a second, but it's the great thing about this is a lot of these guys have been playing together for a little while now. With the Moana Pacifica, and yes, more guys have been playing elsewhere as well. But
the Free Jacks.
Yep. But it's just really awesome to see that they've had those opportunities with that team and with the Fijian Drew as well. And so that is only going to make this World Cup better. I truly believe that. So go get them, Tonga. If you upset somebody, I'm going to be the first one jumping up and down, I promise. Let's go to C. Wet fart.
It's total wet fart. I mean, especially the top two. Fiji, though, that's
Oh, come on, Fiji, get it done, please, for all of us. For all of us, for all of us, get out of this group, because nobody wants Wales to get out besides Wales. Nobody wants Australia to get out.
I don't even think
besides Australia.
Well, the players do, but I don't know that the Welsh fans really are
believe they're gonna.
Yeah. And honestly, nor should they. This is not it's not a good Wales team by any stretch.
No.
Australia is one of 2 teams that have been ruined by Eddie. So, not that they were hot shakes anyway.
I really believe Rennie was getting something going with them, and then they just decided that.
Yeah, I was
Eddie was the Lord and Savior. I was like, no, you guys are stupid, but good luck with that anyway.
Right. Although I will say that Kata Gordon is
he's a player.
He's a player. And him and he is going to whatever Eddie wants. That's the best part to me for watching Australia is that Eddie's going to want them to play a certain way where they do all the same shit that England have been doing. I mean, they look identical. Watching the last Australia match, was that France? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Australia just looked. It was like watching England just in a different jersey,
Yeah.
and yet still
Facts.
Carter Gordon is kind of tearing it up a little bit, and Nwakin Nawasi, he's getting the ball to Nwakin
I
Nawasi,
love
and
that
that
guy.
just get him the ball, yes
Yeah.
please. But yeah, so other than that, there's not much to see there. That's why I'm very I'm not. And Georgia, I wish Georgia was in a position to take advantage of this, but they're
Same.
not.
They're not.
They
Portugal gets
they've got the
back. That's kind of
physicality,
why.
which actually that might help them, because that's Eddie's one. The problem that Eddie has is he likes to make these games close,
Mhm.
and then maybe hope to win at the end. And but the funny thing is that actually benefits every single other team in this group, because Australia could be, if they played balls out, but the best team in this group.
Right.
Although that's debatable because Fiji's actually really really good. Um, but they were definitely top two. But because of the way they play, they're going to invite a loss to a Fiji or a Georgia just by, even if they're 1 to 23 a better team on the day, they're still
Yep.
going to let them in the game, and that's all it takes is just one mistake, and Georgia or Fiji could put one in on, and Wales too. They have the fucking horses back there, so
Absolutely. Yeah. Agreed.
yeah, just I don't get it. Like, if you're one of the better teams, you should not be playing a style that lets the other team hang around. That's
No.
what, to me, that's what lost England the final against South Africa. Not that South Africa were the I mean, obviously they weren't the worst team. That's why you play a style where it's like, okay, we got to put up points.
Mhm.
You keep it close. South Africa's like, yeah, please, let's do that,
Yeah,
because
we
I'll
can do
take our
that,
chances.
and they
And
did, and
they did. And England never
burned
took their
them.
chances.
Nope.
So, like, that's
Nope.
the thing. They never know when it's time to be like, as I try to tell the team, like, the structures that we put in place are there to be broken down. Like, they're intentionally supposed to disintegrate while we score a try. But
Yeah, of course.
Eddie's structures just remain in place. No, no, no. We got to do this. We got to do this.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Go score
Have
the
fun with that.
goddamn try first. We
Yeah.
can worry about it later.
Right.
Yeah, I am praying to the gods that Fiji can get out of this, and I really would like them to. I would really love them to win the group. Honestly, I don't know if they're going to, but I would really love it if they won the group, because really because of the Fijian Drua, and because that we're not looking at Ben Balavala anymore. Thank God.
Yeah.
That's only to their benefit. You have
Right.
Muntz and you have Tetitella, and Muntz has put himself ahead of Tetitella
Okay.
by a pretty good margin at this point
Yeah.
as well. And then you have the centers that they're mouthwatering especially between like what potentially could be Red Radra and Ravovo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't even need to be anything they're not, other than just a little bit structured and a little bit disciplined. Everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah. And you watch Fiji from, a couple of years ago, and you watch them now, and it is night and day with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They used to just throw the ball around and hope somebody was there.
Yeah.
And that really hurt them, because sometimes either there was nobody there, or there was someone in a really bad position, and it ended up being like, yeah, we want to have fun, but it just kind of falls apart. The other teams take advantage.
Yep.
Now they're throwing that ball around to players where they know, and again, it's that structure that's supposed to break down, but they still know where the players are supposed to be. Like, that person's job, whoever, might not know who it is, but there's someone whose job is to be right exactly here in our structure. So I throw this offload, that's where they'll be, and we'll do all right. And that makes all the difference. It's scary.
Right. And I think in the forward pack, and the one place that they've had their growing pains has been the front row. And there's two guys that are gonna change that tune just a little bit, and that's Maui and Matavesi.
Yep.
Maui obviously playing with Saracens, Matavesi playing with the Saints. Matavesi is probably the best hooker not in the tier 1 nations.
Likely.
And he's up there if he's not.
He's up. Yeah. He's not. Yeah.
So I'm gonna enjoy watching him and have him play. And Fiji, please win this group, please. And then you can let shit kicker Wales and shit kicker Australia duke it out for second.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of shit kicker, let's go to D. Argentina wins this group, number 1.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll
No
be shocked
question about
otherwise.
that.
I'll be shocked otherwise.
Yes. So there's that. Who finishes second though?
You know, if Japan had taken steps forward since 2019, which I don't think they have, unfortunately, then I would say, yeah, you know, you could see England have a pool exit. It wouldn't shock me, especially the way Borthwick's got these guys playing. And I did see something stupid that Tom Curry's going to start the first game.
Why?
I don't know. No,
For
here's
what?
the thing. If it's Curry, and we know it's not going to be this, but what I'll say is if it's Curry, Willis, and Earl, that's not a bad back row.
Right. Or if
But
it's even like, yeah, yes.
You know it's going to be Curry, either Willis or Earl and Laws, which is like just a. And Argentina will have Argentina are happy to be physical, but the best part about them is they can do other things too, and they can just burn you on the outside. They have some wonderful back, you know. They have Mighty Mouse, they have freaking Buffelli, and they just they have this way about them. And even their, you know, even some of their back rowers are just like blistering, and it's so much fun to watch. And you know, Montoya. We talk about captains and guys you want to run through a wall for. Montoya's that as well. So, you know, they will go to the woodshed with him all day and defend that line and get in the trenches with him. So the combination of those things makes them extremely dangerous, number one. But number two, just something you can't try and just bully, you know, because, yeah, like we said, you know, with the way Eddie likes to play, you get a team that fronts up against you, and all of a sudden your plan A is out the window and you have no plan B.
Right.
And that's what Argentina are good at.
Yeah, you know? and Argentina will put points up too. They can ball.
Yes.
So that's something that England have to do, and they just you know, we're going to see Tuilagi? Yes, we will. Should we see Tuilagi? No, absolutely not. The guy can't play anymore.
No.
Why is Johnny May in this squad?
I haven't got a clue.
Why is Ben Young still in this squad? Like, and you're right. Yeah, the forwards, you have Tom Curry, world class 6, but they're never going to put him at 6 because they think he's a 7 for some reason. But guy can't carry worth a damn. So like maybe if it's Curry, Ludlam, Earl, but even then, Ludlam is still that slow. Like you can't have. Courtney Laws is. I think he does. I did like that at the last broadcast where they're like, you know, he really does have to be a lock.
Yep.
It's like, yes, he really does. He doesn't have, and like he's better off as an undersized lock now than he is as plotting loose forward. That's not really what he used to be.
I agree.
He's not making that track down from 40 meters like he did. I think it was at the last World Cup where he made a tackle like coming back in coverage, like on like a wing or something ridiculous. Like that's not him anymore.
I think it was one of the fall games, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Point being. So I think what will happen is Argentina win the group. I think England will lose to either Japan or Samoa. They'll get caught. I don't know who. They'll still find a way to manage themselves out of the group though, and that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see them losing to Japan because Japan doesn't have the physicality to. I don't think they have the speed either.
No. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, like I get that they have Matsushima still, but that's not enough.
He's probably it, unfortunately.
That's not enough. And who was it? Where is he? Himeno is not Himeno is not him. Like if we thought a couple of years ago that this guy could be like a sensation at 8, and he's kind of turned, you know, Jag-ish plus. Like he's not a Jag, but he's not much better than a Jag, which is a shame.
Well, it really is.
And Shota Ahorie is still good, but he's 37.
He ain't young no more.
Right.
You know,
he's still quality, but he's not turning up. So yeah, they don't have the horses. Like flat out. Yeah, I haven't watched them. And you know, was it Matsuda is still good, but the same thing. Like he could have been, like he was trending for something amazing, and it just hasn't panned out.
No, it hasn't. I agree. All right, so let's knockouts. Who makes them?
Yeah, got France,
New Zealand.
France, New Zealand.
Ireland and South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fiji and who?
And Australia.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
I do think they're better than. I think Wales are just like, hey, we're sending a team because we have to, but I
Yeah.
don't think that they're
right.
like.
I
But
agree.
yeah.
And then RG's in
Argentina.
England.
I think so.
Okay.
I'd like Samoa to make it too, but I think England
Same.
will move on for
Yep.
to the knockout stage. We'll see.
Agreed. All right. So who wins? Who wins A?
France. I think
Yeah.
France. I think France
I
win
do
it.
too. Yeah. Does Ireland win B? Or South Africa?
I think South Africa wins B.
Really? Okay. And then
They're scaring me.
Can Fiji do
They're
it?
playing they're playing amazing South Africa rugby right now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Dick them. Can Fiji win the group? Or is Australia going to win the group?
I think Fiji win the group because I think Fiji beat Australia, and then I think Fiji run this table. I don't think that they lose to anybody in this group.
All right.
If they do lose to anybody, it'd be Australia. So that's really the Fiji Australia match in where are they? Round 2 is going to decide this one, I believe.
All right. So that would put Fiji against England and South Africa against New Zealand in the knockouts.
Oh, I would love that.
And then France against Ireland in the knockouts.
Oh, I'd love that.
And RG's in Australia. RG's won that one.
Oh yes, they do. And then England Fiji would be a good match. We'll see.
It will be. Man, I would really be. They've made the knockouts once. It would be great if they could do one better and win the semifinal. I just don't know. I want them to. I really do. And I think, yeah, man. Here's the thing. New Zealand and South Africa have each other's number all day. I just knockout rugby with New Zealand and South Africa. I just think New Zealand get it done, and that's really that actually takes a lot for me to say because I don't like the way they've played the last couple times, really, but especially that last one at Wembley. Or I'm talking about mother.
Yeah, but that last one, like, I don't know what more could be like. South Africa is just like, we're going to camp out in your end for 20 to 30 minutes and get compile 2 cards and all. Like they worked them. Yeah. And that's something where it's like, that's Mike Tyson-esque. For those of you who might only remember him from, being a clown. This dude used to come out and like just wail on people for like 30 seconds and then they just wouldn't want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a round 1 knockout exactly, but it was like, it was, New Zealand on the mat for the first like half of the match essentially. Yep. So that's not going to happen every time. No. That's where I'm going with it. Like that's one of those where you kind of just throw it out.
Yep.
Because the game unfolded the way it unfolded, and it could not have gone any more perfect for South Africa. And New Zealand never got a chance to get a toe hold in. So, they're not all going to go like that. I still think, as I said, South Africa are playing the best South Africa, Springbok rugby that they've played. I think they're playing it better than they did in the last World Cup, which is saying something. Although again, the Pollard, like, I don't know. So that's tough to.
That's the hardest part for me.
But either way, I know who I'm picking to win, and that makes whoever wins that matchup irrelevant anyway. So
who's in the final?
I have France Argentina.
Okay.
I don't think anybody beats Argentina in the other bracket. I think they're underrated too. I think they're underrated because they're not, New Zealand, they're not South Africa, but they're fucking good. And
agreed.
And they've got studs everywhere, and they've got depth. Maybe not so much at lock. They're still, they're still starting Lavanini, and that's gonna, he is gonna get the card at the inopportune moment because he's Thomas Lavanini. But they got guys who can make up for it.
Right. Yep. All right. So that is the predictions Okay, so we are into full swing here with the first one. We're gonna go.
Well, who do you have? You didn't give us
I have
yours.
France. I have France as well.
Okay.
I have
Who do you
France
have
as well.
beating though?
I think I got my brackets all dribbled up, so I'll get back to you on that one. Get back to you on that one. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. First episode of the season. We're gonna jump over to Fantasy Corner. If you're not joining us over there, then cool. We'll catch you next week after the openers. But if you are, then we'll see you over there and we'll talk all kinds of fun fantasy shit. But until then, happy to be back. Missed you all. Hope you guys missed us. We'll catch you guys real soon. Everybody enjoy the opener if we're not going to talk to you again. Have a good one all.
Later.
This has been the Fantasy Rugby Yanks podcast. If you'd like to ask a question or leave us general feedback, email us at fantasyrugbypodcast@gmail.com.
You fart, you die, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. The ticky-tackiness kind of absolutely pisses me off.
Be sure you check out our Patreon at patreon.com/thefantasyrugbyyanks.
Yeah.